Next question comes from Joanne. Joanne, did you want to come on live? I experienced something this week that left me questioning if it was ego or if it was a deeper experience. How can I be sure?
Hi.
Hi, Joanne.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good.
So, you know what, Aaron, I'm a little bit, I guess I'm a little bit maybe embarrassed. I was in my room a couple of nights ago, and in Canada, well, where I live, it gets really dark, really early in the day.
Hmm.
So I was sitting in my room and I was listening to a lecture from a Swami, and it was on Vedanta. And I think I was just really getting into this video. And so, I mean, it's almost, I'm almost afraid to say what I saw because I don't really, I can't explain it. So I was sitting there listening to this video, and all of a sudden, I was experiencing something in front of me that it almost seemed like, so the first thing that came to my mind, and I actually spoke it out, I said, wow, it's like the room is disappearing. And I kind of experienced, and I thought, so the moment I said it, because I saw it and it was expanding, it was actually getting bigger. And I thought, hey, the first thing I thought was, man, that's cool. It's like the room is disappearing. And then the moment I said that, it knocked me right out of it.
Hmm.
It was gone. So the question was, does my ego play tricks on me like that? Will it try and confuse me? Was it something deeper? Like, I don't know.
So this is a really cool experience to see the reality of some of these things we talk about, how the mind or ego kills the world with labels. It doesn't actually kill the real world. It just blinds you from seeing it, because as
Right.
soon as the ego slaps a label on something, a label is a form of identifying. I know that's my label, my definition, my object. It belongs to me now because I've labeled it. As soon as the ego labels something, it's like we lose the reality, and the ego goes and gets obsessed with the concept and the label, and it only engages with the label.
Oh,
So an example of that is the flow state. When you're in the flow state, whether you're like playing pool or basketball or something, they always say the key to staying in the flow state is to never acknowledge the flow state. Never ever say, I'm in the flow state, I'm killing it. Yeah, I did it. Because then you've created a label of the flow state, and the mind goes and looks at the label and gets obsessed with that, and you kick yourself out of the flow state. So can you see how that's what happened in your experience? Was you
completely,
were
I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as the
It was
mind
like,
labeled it, you lost it.
I was completely gone. But then I wonder if I had stayed in it, it almost made me fearful. I was kind of, I thought, what would have happened to me if I had stayed in it?
So whose question is that?
That's the ego question.
Yeah, big time,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is. Yeah.
What will
But it
happen to
was,
me is ego all day.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
So you were having, let's say, kind of a psychedelic experience. Yeah. The room is
I,
disappearing,
I,
you said?
I would think so, if that's what it seemed, but that's what it seemed like. Um, it it was yeah, I can't even put it into words, Aaron. Like I can't describe it because I've never seen anything like it before. But
Yeah.
I don't really know. I can't even relate it to anything I've ever seen before.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
all. That's always how you know it was a real experience.
oh, okay. Okay.
So we talked about in our opening centering, we went into that stillness.
Mhm.
We talked about this stillness is your nature. So this is really what it means to say that reality is silent. Reality is label-less, definition-less. Reality is always an unfolding, evolving mystery, and it doesn't speak any words. It doesn't say or do anything. It just flows. It just is. And so we have to be in that same state if we want to see reality as it is. So I think there's a line, I think it's from the Course in Miracles, that says, silence is the state where you are in communication with everything that is real, with reality as it is. So somehow through, I don't know, watching the video, you were put into a state of stillness, of presence, and some kind of vision unfolded, and you experienced it long enough till the ego got nervous about it and started talking about it and commentating on it. And then it went away because now the mind is only looking at that label the ego made for it.
I think that's exactly what happened. And I think I left the rest of the day, I felt not angry, but I felt really, I don't know, I had a kind of a gut feeling about it not feeling good. So I think that, but having that feeling, I thought, okay, this is not the state. This is the actual ego doing that to me, or I'm not, do you know what I mean? Like it was, I think it put me back into perspective, the feeling that I was having, because I know that when you have a feeling, your feelings are more true. And that's why I said to you, the words don't always come as easily as the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back and read what you had said, and I thought, I think I misunderstood what you initially said, but then I reread it and I thought, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And which part was that?
Where you said, never, in fact. That was your response to mine, was never, in fact. It's like,
never. What was the question you made?
The words never come as quickly as the
feeling.
The words don't come as quickly as the feeling. And then your response was, never, in fact.
Okay.
So, that's what it was.
Yes. Yeah, I believe even scientists have done some kind of test on the mind and how long it takes, like when an actual impulse to act happens or a thought or something to say happens, what's the time gap between when the action happens through the body and then when the mind says, I did that, or I thought that. And in some study, they determined that it's like some, 4 nanoseconds later, it's like half a millisecond it takes for the mind to claim it. So it's because it's happening so fast that we perceive it as simultaneous and we don't question it. So if it was like a 5-second delay and, you pick up the plate and start washing it, really, there wouldn't be a you who did it. You notice the plate gets picked up and it's being washed. And then a voice is like, I'm doing it. I'm washing the plate. You'd go, oh, that's a weird thought. You would always have that recognition that there's a second voice coming in, claiming it. And because it's so fast, we don't ever notice it. And we don't ever recognize that it's not me thinking that I thought. And so that's what happened, just like in your experience. You were having some real vision or experience there, and then the mind started getting nervous and started saying something about it, and then it went away. That was very much what happened with my spiritual awakening years ago. I spent like 2 weeks in that state, and it was like the day that I woke up on, the 2 weeks to the day, and for the first time, I had the thought occur to me, I wonder if this is going to be my permanent state of consciousness. And I didn't question that thought. But I've now introduced duality again. I wonder if this will be my permanent state of consciousness. Now, before that, those 2 weeks prior, I was the state. I became it. I merged with that state of enlightenment. There was no person doing it. And then the first thought of ego coming back online was to question it and to claim it. I wonder if this will be my state permanently. And slowly ego came back online. So you see how sneaky it is. It always appears in a form that you'll take for granted and not question it as whether that was me or not saying that. It tries to appear as intimately as who you think you are as possible, because that's how it knows it's going to snag you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the things that I've really been working on is like this self-inquiry, like really going into it like as deeply
Good.
as I can possibly go. And so it was probably something that to that nature that I was listening to when I found myself in that state, in that experiencing that. So, well, thank
Yeah.
you, Aaron. It doesn't feel so silly anymore.
Oh, it's certainly not silly. And, you know, I could even say that I've had many experiences like that myself, listening to videos, even listening to like certain audiobooks of old, like the Vedas or something. Some passage will be spoken that really um, blows the doors off my perception a bit. And I lose that belief in being a person completely. And I'll just experience the most unbelievable state of presence and stillness. And it's recognized like, oh, this is me. This is always me. I just keep binding myself to forms all the time. And the first, dozen or so times that those experiences have happened to me, I was really quick to think about it. And I would let the mind say stuff about it. Wow, this is an amazing state of consciousness. It starts blah, 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 blah. And then you're out of it right away.
Yeah.
And so through experiencing that, how the mind pulls you out of it so quick, now there tends to be some real abiding awareness when some experience happens like that, where something in me is like, just keep quiet, don't say a word, just experience, just be.
Yeah.
And then that it just, I can marinate in that experience so much longer. And it's the time it takes for it to dissolve away is much slower versus typically almost be an instantaneous, something jerks me out of that state because my mind starts talking about it. So you'll notice that too, as these things will keep happening, and they'll happen more and more often because you're getting closer and closer to really integrating that state as a permanent place. But you have to really taste it over and over again to where you really memorize the flavors of it. And then once you really memorize it, the way it tastes, the way it feels, you notice it just becomes your abiding state of consciousness, no effort involved.